Hi there, and welcome everyone to Revenue Rockstars. I am Tara Benyuski. Great to be back with you all for another session. I'm joined by two rock stars in their own right today, Ms. Sheena Graham and Marnie Ochs-Raleigh. Sheena is a marketing strategist from Ree's Marketing Agency, full service agency based in Port St. Lucie, Florida. And Marnie is the CEO, or as she prefers to be called, the client champion, another full service agency, Evolve Systems, based in St. Paul, Minnesota. Welcome, ladies.
Wow, thank you so much, Tara. I am so excited to be here and to have met my new friend Sheena. We've had a great time getting to know each other over the last couple months. You'd be proud of all of our collaboration work that we've been doing for this. I am just thrilled to be able to represent my team at Evolve Systems as we talk about change, because we certainly have gone through a lot of change over the last couple of years here. And for those of you that are in the audience, I just want to welcome you. Tara has put together some really great content for us to talk about challenges that agencies and agency owners face. And we're excited to be able to share some of those perspectives with you of what we have learned in having our discussions and partnering with SharpSpring. One of the biggest challenges that we have faced over the last couple of years is the industry always changing. I mean, I'll often joke that Mark Zuckerberg was in middle school when we started our business. And quite frankly, we've got people on our team that specialize in working with all the different platforms that he now owns. And so change, if you look back a long time, we're certainly not what we were years and years ago. And most recently, I know that we've all struggled with learning how to make sure to communicate with clients on multiple different channels. We've got different social media platforms that have come up. I mean, who would have thought TikTok would be the rage of what it is? And then we also have different communication pieces and different places where our ideal audiences hang out and gather their information. So the change in the industry as a whole has just evolved over the time. And it's been a lot of fun to grow. And I know that my friend Sheena looks at change a little bit differently, but Sheena, what is your perspective on this?
Sure. So for me, I think um, you have to stay curious. With the multitude of options that are available right now in the technology space, as Marnie stated, not having a unified technology stack can really hurt your progress and your campaign effectiveness. And at our company, we try to focus on being teachable, being learnable, learning new things. Some of the issues are inherited because you don't know what technologies your clients have. But some of it can be avoided, especially in our line of business where we're able to really talk about what are best for clients, what technologies they're supposed to have, and we can avoid some of those issues for sure. Tara?
Excellent. So we're, the topic for today is change, and which feels very much like it's a topic that comes up in just about every other conversation. But really, what we're looking to do is just spark conversations that highlight the opportunities that present themselves because of change. We all know it's constant. But despite this, I know that you both are embracing change for both your agencies and the clients that you serve every day. So that's great. I think, Marnie, maybe just to touch a little bit on some of the changes that you've seen over the last couple of years. Why do you, at the core, think that just acknowledging this change to the extent that we all have to react is so hard?
Well, I think it's time. And I feel as though as soon as you have a process that you've developed that you feel as though it's like your proven process or your secret sauce, suddenly there's a new element that gets put into that. And we all know that Google makes so many changes all the time that as soon as you get that one thing figured out, then there's another whole stack of information that you need to learn on. And change can be difficult. And, our company name being Evolve really is the epitome of change. And we often joke on our team that if we don't continue to evolve, you're going to die. And I think that we're seeing a lot of businesses that have gone through the last couple of years where they have really focus their attention on items that may not be keeping up with the marketing trends, and suddenly they're far behind and they can't compete at the same level with some of their competitors because they haven't embraced or evolved their change process. So it's so important to look at it change as an opportunity rather than as something bad.
Definitely.
Myself as a fellow marketer, like the both of you, one of the biggest changes that I've seen is marketing's need to step up and own full funnel marketing, call it full funnel. Looking back just a few years, our main objective was to drive MQLs, right? To get people to submit a form, give us their credentials, to download a piece of content, or sign up for an event. And once they did that, we quickly turned those leads over to sales, really unsure if they were even sales ready. Now fast forward, and we all know that purchase decisions are made well before prospects even talk to sales, requiring marketing now to cover that full funnel. Sheena, how are you helping clients navigate this change whereby marketing now has to provide touch points and content really to educate buyers throughout the entire funnel?
Sure. So, in preparation for this talk, Marnie and I took it up on ourselves to really get to know each other in our agencies and see what our strengths are. And we both kind of looked at, the place marketing takes within an organization. And what I've realized is that sales was usually a 9 to 5 type of position. They are trying to call and meet up these people, right? But there's been a change where even with this new remote workplace, Calendly took off, right? Now clients and prospects are scheduling their own meetings and telling you when they want to talk to you. And marketing really was able to step up during this time because now it's not a 9 to 5, right? They want to have the information now, they want to be educated. So we're able to bridge that time gap between the time zones and between the chat bots and the SMS, and we're able to deliver a message to prospects whenever they want it and also where they want it. And then by the time sales comes in at 9 o'clock in the morning, now they have these qualified leads that are looking for them to reach out to them. So I think it's very important that sales and marketing talk to each other so that the conversation's the same, the goals are the same, the message is unified. And I think during that process, Marnie, I think we talked about personalizing the buyer's experience.
Yeah.
How do you help clients with that personalization?
It's really all about strategy, and it's about being very specific and not trying to talk to too many different types of audiences. And when you're putting together that marketing strategy, really narrow down what the ideal audience is, and use those keywords that somebody would be typing into a Google search to be able to find that content. And when you're able to be that specific and really have that tight message together, it's almost as if that message speaks directly to them. And so there's that personalized touch that is available for that ideal audience to be able to automatically relate to it. It's like, yes, they're talking to me. This is a problem that I have. And this is something that we can easily solve with this. And so it's providing that very specific information as well as the education. And we've had great success with that. And being able to narrow down that scope has provided, I'm going to say, a better quality warm lead for then sales to initiate the next type of conversation with them.
Marnie, do you think technology helps or hinders this effort?
I think that question is great, but there's also a big generational slab that's right in there. And so I think it depends. I think that technology helps with all of our remote work conditions because I think people are working at, like Sheena had said, different time zones. So it makes it easier for them to get that information. But technology certainly helps our team and our clients because it's always on. And you're able to continue the conversation, even though it might be in just a little snippet, you're able to keep that engagement. And we all know that when we have to sit and wait for a response, there's a lot of times that we'll get impatient, and that's when you'll bounce. And well, you'll see clients going to a competitor, and if they've got a better communication plan set up, then you stand the chance of losing that person.
Mhm. Definitely.
I think, given so much change right now, it's hard on agencies, but it's probably somewhat harder even on your clients, and can even lead to some of this again, off again, engagement with you. I'm curious, from both of your perspectives, what do you think is the biggest reason today for client churn?
So for me, I think one, clients are going to come and go. So I don't think we should feel like they're breaking up with us for sure. Clients will mature. But I think some of the reasons are, as marketers, sometimes we make the process seem so seamless and mundane, but we know on the back end how hard it is to organize that campaign and those results, and how hard it is to just navigate some of those things. But sometimes clients can get used to the process and the tradition and of what you're doing. So it's good for us to make sure we're proving our value all the time, make sure that we're having that variety, make sure that we are consistently meeting expectations, which is one of our quotes within our company is realizing expectations. And what we want to do is make sure that you are meeting and breaking those expectations and those goals month over month, year over year, whatever that expectation is, so that you can avoid some of that churn. And if they do leave, it's okay, they might come back. And if they don't, there's also another set of clients coming in for you to help move forward to that same station.
Yeah, I agree. Churn in the agency world it's a tough thing, because you've got, people that get dedicated to different accounts. And when you have that churn happen, it's a tough pivot. There's no doubt about that. But I think one of the reasons that we're seeing churn right now is because of so many different people changing positions and moving companies. And so as you have a new person that gets brought into one of your clients' teams, you have to take the time to build that relationship. And what we see happens is they want to work with their friends. And so even though you may be doing a fantastic job, if their friend is coming in a competitive space, you may not even realize that you are at risk. So one of the things that we do with our agency is making sure that there's more than one point of contact within the clients, so that we can continue to build those ongoing relationships. If there is a change, that we're aware of that. And then the other piece is having that conversation that is specific with either the business owner or somebody in the finance role that is really interested in looking at what that ROI is that you're providing, and having a separate conversation with them alone. What we find is the narrative of that conversation is completely different than if they joined the marketing call. And I think that those decision makers really need to understand the value in a different way. So at our team, we've put a lot of time into really understanding what type of monthly reports that we're providing. Because if you're just giving them numbers and saying you had this many hits, or here was your Google Analytic information that we pulled, without being able to synthesize that information and make it applicable to what their specific needs are, you're going to lose them. And you have to be able to pull back and really understand what KPIs are important to the marketing department. Maybe it's the sales department, but definitely the finance department as well. We're a traction-based business, and I know that a lot of businesses are as well. And reporting up to that scorecard is really important to measure the success. And taking the time to understand what KPIs are important to each person really helps you to synthesize that data to where you're showing more value. You could be doing the exact same thing that a different agency would do, but because you're taking that time to educate and to explain and to help them continue to grow on their end, your relationship is only going to continue to get stronger. And I think that's a key differentiator that a lot of us need to continue to remember and to work on as we move into 2022.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, you touched on something that I think is important. Oftentimes marketing is a area that's responsible for hiring an agency. And so, helping to bridge that alignment and that partnership within the organization with the sales folks, with the finance folks, I think that is probably a pivotal change for many agencies today. With the marketing team coming together, this with sales and finance is a pretty big shift for marketers and for agencies, helping to drive that change within the businesses that they're serving. And one of the topics also that comes up with several of the agency folks that we talk with every day is this need to relentlessly show value. You touched on that, Marnie, a little bit with walking folks through the metrics and what campaigns are working, and some of the things that are probably a little bit harder to measure as well, but kind of bringing it full circle so that stakeholders understand the bigger picture and truly what's leading to growth. Sheena, walk us through a little bit what you and Riaz are doing to consistently show value to your clients, and ultimately as you look to move beyond just a one-off project, how do you show value to ultimately work towards more of a retainer-based relationship?
Sure. So with us, we at our firm, we really try to be a partner with our clients, and we try to get to know their business as much as possible, right? So when you are talking about your business, sometimes we can spot the different areas that we're lacking in communication or in the buying cycle or those type of things. And it's all about asking the right questions and getting to know them. Reporting is definitely important. The data is very important, and making sure that you are collecting the right data points to be able to answer the questions that your clients are wanting. That's one of the biggest things for us. So it's not necessarily the clicks or the opens, it's the registrations and the purchases, right? And how do we get the amount of people to do the things that we want to do? And sometimes it takes even to say that's unrealistic in some cases, and being able to say, this is what we can do and this is what we can grow to. As marketers, sometimes we are very good at doing the work, but not proving how wonderful we are. So don't be afraid to shine. Don't be afraid to brag about yourself and your team. Case studies. Sometimes we forget the things that we've done before, and sometimes client forgets the things that we've done for them. So being able to show every month that this is how we've grown your business, this is how we've helped and contributed to your bottom line is definitely important. And also being able to break up, so some clients get fatigued. You want to make sure you break up the process, right? So even if it's a 3-month campaign, for those clients that are looking for quick results, make sure that you are tailoring your process, that you are delivering things faster or sooner so they can see the progression of what you're doing, and also being able to see the different touch points, because we can't give instant results, but we can give them results in a timely manner. And I think that's important.
That is such a great point. I think that you mentioned we're so quick to launch the next thing that we forget to, celebrate the successes and to really look at it and to really understand what led to the success. And maybe it's worth repeating. Maybe you don't need to do the next, bright and shiny initiative, but really just layer or build upon what has worked before. So I think that's a great point, Sheena. And I think too, again, being able to champion those discussions back at the organization is so important, because I think, folks back, in their companies, they get busy with the next thing. And so, you being that pillar or that partner to continue to show, the value is so critical. One other point is I would assume many of the customers or clients that you work with are coming to you when they're fatigued, right? They've maybe made several attempts within their organizations to do something different, to drive campaigns, to reach new targets, to grow their base. And so they're coming to you when maybe even after several failed attempts. And so their expectation is high, and the expectation is probably for very quick and rapid results. And so they're coming to you to say, help us quickly. So walk us through, that scenario, either Marnie or Sheena, when you've worked with clients that are coming to you at that point.
Well,
Yeah. Go ahead, Sheena.
No, I'll call it our team huddle, right? So you get your best people, whoever's going to be on that client's team, and we talk about what they've done before, looking at their campaigns that have been launched. I like to do an audit first, so that we can actually talk about what has happened before and what has changed and what we can do differently for sure. Um, Maybe they weren't targeting the right audience. Maybe they weren't even, maybe their database deliverability issues. It could be anything. So we're not saying one agency may be better than the other, but every client is different, right? And we need to make sure we're personalizing our campaigns and our attempts, for sure, so that the client can have a positive experience this time. But Marnie, I know you have a different take on that. We have the same goal.
It's all about the strategy. It really is. And it's about presenting the strategy to your client in a way that they understand it and that they can support it, and making sure that you've got multiple touch points to provide, here's the value that is happening with it. And when we get into a situation where a client is coming to us because there's been a failure point, we do the same type of thing. We do an internal huddle, but then we will also ask the client, what was the success and what was the failure? And even though that sounds like common sense, just asking that one question isn't enough. You really got to dive in and ask that next question or the leading question to be able to really understand where the failure point was. And sometimes you'll get involved with answers that are coming back with like a no with your clients. Like, don't talk about this one. This person doesn't do this. Or understanding that there's different motivations that are happening for changing things, and why one agency may or may not have been successful may not even be the agency's issue. And really taking a look at what their competitors are doing too, so that you can prove to the client, here's how we need to do this, here's how it can be delivered, and this is how we're going to measure it. And really understanding what the client, maybe something that they're afraid of, and breaking down those barriers and providing education. I am famous for saying, explain the why. Tell me the why behind the question that you're asking, and really digging into all of those different meanings, because what is a conflict for one person could be a complete win for another. So learning from that. And we do at our team what's called an after action review with all of our projects, and every 6 months, to understand what was a success and what was something that we learned and that we can apply to other projects. And that has really helped our team grow to be better communicators with our clients as well.
And I would imagine it takes a little bit of effort too, to just dig in and say, maybe they're trying to target too much of an audience, or the wrong audience, or not having the right approach relative to the right channels. Do they understand where their buyers actually absorb information? Maybe they're, just slight tweaks, to where that would make a great impact. So really, again, kind of walking them through the process again, even if they know it, just to take a step back and get back to the basics and understand, who is your ideal audience, who, what's causing them pain, what's keeping them up at night. And really understanding how they can resonate with that audience. I think that's huge.
Tara, I think the other thing to add too is, when you're putting together a plan for a client, as agencies, we're asked to work with a lot of different tools. And one of the successes that we've really seen is introducing SharpSpring as a tool and showing how it works. And I think that once people understand that you're not just like doing that shotgun approach where you're going to throw something out and hope that it sticks, we're actually able to show them, here's how a work plan is going to work, and here's how the process is going to flow, and here are the messages that people are going to be experiencing. They can see it. And that's one of the key points to our success, is being able to utilize that technology that SharpSpring continues to provide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think as marketers, we all get X amount of messages in our inbox a day, and just being able to absorb the volume is almost impossible. And especially if the message within 2 seconds doesn't resonate with you. And that's just
Yeah.
email, but there are several other channels as well where, buyers expect it. It's not just a nice to have, but they expect you to know them and to relate to them personally. So shifting a little bit, the industry is competitive. The landscape it's tough. There's a lot of expectations from agencies today. Marnie, curious, for Evolve, what do you do to help you stand out? And I think there's several pieces that go into this, as a brand,
Yeah.
what do you hold as key values to help you remain competitive?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question because when we had our first opportunity to work with Sharp Spring and go through the Revenue Rockstar program, we had the opportunity to work with Jay Bear and Ann Hanley, and we'd known that it was time to be doing a rebrand for ourselves, but we hadn't had the time, and we were going down the path of doing it, and then COVID hit, and we're like, okay, nope, focus back on the clients, and then once things settled down, we started to focus back on ourselves. And what we chose to do to remain relevant is to update. And so we have a brand new website that launched in October, and we hosted our client appreciation event. But really, the work that went into it was carefully planned. And we used this experience as team building events. We were able to talk with each one of the different team members, and they provided their passion because we took a lot of time to identify what our voice was in the market. And Ann Hanley she's famous for saying, add humanity. As marketers, we need to be able to have a personal connection in a world filled with miscellaneous data. And so we spent a lot of time putting that humanity back into our voice to get more of that personalized approach. And we see that coming out in all of the marketing materials that we have and the new website. And what has happened with that is people that we haven't talked with in a long time are seeing the different announcements that we've made or wearing different logoed material to different events has just really helped us to stand out. And I would encourage anybody or any agency owner that if you're looking for more of a connection piece to reevaluate where your brand is at. I mean, it's a difficult thing in a tight market. I know that our market is heavily saturated with competition, and I'm sure that other markets are as well. But I'm going to go back to Ann Hanley, adding the humanity back to make sure to provide that one-on-one piece. And don't use stock images. Take the time, make the investment, get images that you can use in your marketing materials that are close and personal to you, and really be mindful about showing this is the heart of your organization and sharing what those case studies are that you're doing for clients. And ironically, we created a case study on our own rebrand and then added the supplemental materials, as Anne is famous for saying, using bricks and feathers. We created our own brick based off of what our rebrand was. And I think that in order for clients to truly trust that you can do what you say you're going to do, they need to see that you're doing what you say you're going to do. So we provided a detailed case study, and there's a downloadable document that is on our website right now talking about your next website planning and what you need to know about it.
Awesome. Awesome. And for me on my side, it's really like honing my team, like increasing their skills, empowering them to learn more. I've been a champion of asking them what do they think, what they want to present to the client, and I'll be able to gear them and guide them. But I did not want to have my team look to me for all sources of communication and strategy. So pushing the team and growing your team is very, very important to staying competitive, because as much as I try to stay relevant, my team is doing the work, and they know what's going on. Some button has changed, some integration has just been added. And for us to stay competitive with our clients and with other technologies, it's so important for us to be able to grow our mature as a team, so that we can provide better services to our clients.
And I think you both just within those statements solidified why you are rock stars and are joining me today. So well played. I love it. Okay, let's shift a little bit. So let's start to talk about digital for both of you on a scale of 1 to 10. Digital is changing, like we said, at paces that it's hard to keep up with. On a scale of 1 to 10, how challenging is it for agencies today to stay current with digital trends? After all, providing marketing services and digital capabilities is part of what makes you unique, and you have to be the authority.
Definitely. For me, it's a 10. Absolutely a 10. Not all technology is needed, but you need to know what's out there. I always laughed and said SharpSpring was more of a Lego box. You can put it all together. And I think aligning yourself with the technology is ever growing. For example, with the SharpSpring ads, being able to target your database, those type of things. You want to be aligned with an agency that's or agency platform or a marketing platform that is growing and evolving. Because as much as you try to evolve and change, you want to make sure that the platform you're using with your clients can evolve and change too. And then making sure that your team is properly trained. I know that SharpSpring has a portal that is constantly training our team and having those different classes and portals. Also reading different trends. And then I also empower my team to look outside the box as well. So what else is out there? What are other people doing? So we do our own mini case studies. I know Marnie is a champion for learning and giving her team time to learn. I try to do that as well. But digital trends are always changing. And if you always look at that, I think there's a report that goes out every year. How many MarTech solutions are out there? It grows every year. The map is probably so big you have to zoom into now. But pick the ones that work for you and be really good at it. I mean, just really be a champion for that technology. And don't be afraid to look at some of those integration connections so you can expand upon the platforms that you're using. So it's very important that you do that. So Marnie, what do you think on your side?
Oh, Sheena, you took every single word out of my mouth.
Sorry.
No, that's perfect. We're aligned. I would say it's a 10 as well. And just to add a few more things on, we really enjoy having our team members participate in different webinars, or there's so many different conferences where experts are there being able to talk about what the trends are and the successes that they've had. We take it just a little next step further. And when we do have a team member that will go through a training, we provide that time for them to do more of a group share so that while they're just hitting the top highlights of that they are also being challenged with questions so that they can even dig deeper if they're needing to. But then they kind of become the expert of that area. If it's something that excites them, if it's something that they're passionate about, we want them to feel empowered to really own that position. And I think we all are experiencing change so fast that we have to take some dedicated time to say, it's okay to learn. It's okay to take the time to go through one of these courses instead of, being behind and saying, oh, now I got to catch up, or now I have something I have to fix. So embracing learning as part of the job is something that I see a lot more business owners talking about within the last year or so than what I ever have. So I'm encouraged by that because not all of us are natural learners. And sometimes we have to force ourselves to do that. And with all the education that SharpSpring puts together for our team members, it's a really easy platform to continue to excel with.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things I think we talked about at one point was, you've got to have the right tools to do the job. But the tools are really there to support the strategy, right? Not to actually build or guide the strategy. So there's lots of things that come out that are bright and shiny, like we've talked about, but you have to take a step back and consider, do these actually help support what we're trying to do in how we reach buyers and how we serve and customers over the entire life cycle, so really understanding the intent of the tool and how that actually comes in to support the strategy. And I know for both of you, we've talked about this, having the right tools is central to getting the job done right. If we're going to talk technology specifically, whatever the technology is, what for both of you are the 2 or 3 non-negotiable capabilities or features that you look for within a piece of technology?
Sure. For me, data. Can I get the reporting I need? That's always going to be my first thing. Clients want results, and we need to be able to prove it. So that's one section. The other thing is, do they work together? Right. I'm not going to add a piece of technology if it's not going to benefit the other ones. If it's going to create a manual process, if we have to do some workaround to get it to work, that's not going to work. And if multiple areas can use it. So if it's just not marketing, but marketing and sales, what's the benefit? Because when you're picking these technologies, it should work for the organization as a whole. So I want to make sure that that is always taken care of, because there's always a situation where marketing tries to pitch a technology, but sales will never use it, right? So now it's harder for us to even get buy-in for that technology. And also, we have disjointed reporting, right? So we want to make sure that more than one department is definitely using technology. Marnie?
Yeah. Our non-negotiables are ease of use, because the data, you're getting the tool to get the data, but it's gotta be easy to use. It's gotta be easy to implement, and it's gotta provide efficiencies, because it's all time versus money. So do you do it as a manual process, or do you find a tool that is going to make your team more efficient? And when we're able to find those efficiencies, we're able to have a happier team. A happier team means that they're going to be happier team members. And we all know that then they enjoy their work-life balance a lot better. I think the other thing is providing ROI. I think if agency owners were to take a look at their P&L and add up all of the SaaS fees that we pay for each year, we would be astonished by that. And we have this done on an annual basis when we review. And so it's reviewing, here's how much money this tool is going to cost us, but here's what we're going to get for it. And then taking a look at what other things can integrate in with it, and maybe even making just a simple change with a different platform to gain those efficiencies.
I've been there myself, and it doesn't happen overnight, right? It usually happens over time, where you think, I need this feature, so I'm going to seek out a tool that solves that particular need. And at the end of the day, end of the road, you've got a number of tech tools that may or may not talk together, and has actually created more of a problem than is actually there to help. So I've been there myself. So, Sheena, you talked a little bit about how central data is to everything, and you are known within your circle of being a data expert. I would love to have you just walk us through, give us a day in the life of what you do, how you use data to make decisions, to create a better end user experience, and to show results. Give us a day in the life.
Sure. I think for me, I think our job doesn't stop. I can say I'm a marketer, but my job doesn't stop when marketing hands over the leads. And I think for me, being able to look at which leads sales does convert and why, and how many touch points it took, those type of things. I like to look at the end result so I can create a process to mimic that over and over again. So for me, I'm always asking my team to look for those opportunities. We're always digging into their database to find out if there's anything right, wrong. So we work almost weekly to make sure that everything's running properly, that we can every account or every campaign starts with the goal first, right? So we know already the data points that we need to prove initially. And we like to use all the reporting tools we can, the custom reports within SharpSpring, and other tools to be able to get that data out weekly, monthly, however the client wants it. Sometimes we've even done a real life dashboard. And I know Marnie, you and I just talked about that the other day. So, so data starts with everything first. We start with that first, and then we build the campaigns around it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And to stay true to time here, we should start to wrap up. Let's shift just momentarily here on a little bit of a lighter note. Under the theme of our Rockstars series, we're going to conduct another one of our gift card giveaways in the form of a digital raffle. We'd like to send, a lucky winner and a guest to an event of your choice. And the gift card is valued at $300. It can be used for a virtual or in-person event. The only qualification is you have to be registered for the webinar series to be eligible. So we'll just take a pause from the discussion and have our producer bring up the wheel so that we can spin and see who our lucky recipient is. Person behind the wheel.
Like Marnie, her name's not in there.
I know. I think we're gonna have to hit her up.
All right. Nice, Ricky. We will be sure that we follow up with you to get those tickets out. And again, we want to just say thank you so much on behalf of SharpSpring for attending today. If you are new to SharpSpring, we would love to understand a little bit more about your business, get to know you, and we'd love to show you a demo of the platform and show you how it might be able to serve the challenges that you're facing as a business today. Please do that. If you would like to see a demo, you can certainly go back to the Revenue Rockstars registration page and put in your information and indicate that you would like to see a demo, and we will get that set up for you. And we would love to have you join us again on December 8th for Shama Hyder, which will be another great session. And now, a little bit back to Sheena and to Marnie, thanks again so much for joining me today. It was a great discussion and look forward to many, many more. But would love to have you just close out with a few words for folks, your peers, any sound word as we end our session today.
I guess for me, it was just continue going, continue growing, continue doing testing, being better. Even if it's 1%, it's always going to amount to a mountain of change within the next year. So that's all. Thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy these sessions, and I'm always challenged meeting new people like Marnie and being able to listen to the other sessions. So it's a benefit for me to be here, and it's a benefit for me to learn from all of you guys as well.
It was a pleasure having you, Marnie.
Yeah, I just feel so honored to be able to participate with this. And I remember when we were selected for the first piece, I mean, it was like this overwhelming amount of gratitude that we've had, because we all need a little help. And I think that we know what it is that we need to do, but having that validation and just that little extra nudge to take that step forward has really helped us. And we're just, like I said, incredibly grateful. Just a word of advice would be for any of the agency owners or team leads. I encourage you to reach out to another agency that you're not in a competitive space with, and just have an authentic conversation and share your successes and share some challenges and gain perspective from somebody else, because the conversations that Sheena and I have now had have been so impactful, and they're energizing. And Sheena and I were emailing last night at like 10 o'clock at night, and you can't do that with clients, and you can't do that with different with your friends, but you can do that with other peers that you respect. So if you don't have that lifeline, I suggest that you find one or find a couple, because it makes a huge difference. And SharpSpring has been that for us. They certainly have been there to answer questions, and I've sent some crazy ones in, and they have been fantastic. So, in addition to other friends, make sure that you have a good relationship with your vendors, because they're there to support and help your business grow. Together we are stronger, and finding the right people to have in your circle is going to help you continue on your path to success and elevate your growth.
That's
Definitely.
fantastic. And I think speaking of lifelines, I would imagine the both of you are open to new connections via LinkedIn is
Yeah.
probably the
Definitely.
easiest.
Yeah.
Excellent. So,
Yeah, for sure.
well,
Definitely.
great. It was just an absolute pleasure hosting you two today. I've learned a ton from both of you personally, so it's been great, and I look forward to many more conversations going forward. And again, to everyone who has attended today, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you again.